What's up, YouTube? Ever wonder how people get creative? How do they go from starting out to being so wildly creative? These awesome poses, crazy lighting, amazing backdrops. Where does it come from? How do they get there? That's what I want to talk about today. Let's say you walk up to a new location, you're shooting somewhere you've never been with a new model, new technique, something is out of your element, and you're struggling. You don't know where to shoot, you don't know how to pose the camera, what setting you're supposed to use. I believe there's a serious reason for this. It's because your mental library is empty. Your creative mental ability is out of gas, and you've got to fuel up. And I want to talk about how to do that. When you look at incredible photography and you think to yourself, how did they do that? How did they come up with that? I believe it's because their mental library is full and they're drawing on these past images and past experiences or past shoots of their own that they're pulling up and they're going, bang, I know what to do. I know what looks good. I'm going to action it. I don't believe it's an accident or things just happened by luck or chance, or maybe there's some natural gifts there for sure. But I believe there's something in there that they're calling up. So where did I come up with this idea? It wasn't an accident. About 6 years into my career, I had only been doing post-production and I was craving creativity and I was looking for some answers, I was setting some new goals and I wanted to go somewhere different. And I started to ask the question to myself and to others, how do I be more creative? How do I become a designer, an artist, and all of these things? And I was lucky to have some really good managers throughout my career, but unfortunately they weren't in the creative fields that I was trying to pursue. But I got one nugget of truth from a great manager. She said designers have these scrapbooks of tear sheets, and she didn't go into too much detail, but I think I understood what she was talking about. They would literally tear a page out of the magazine that they loved, and they would put that aside and they didn't need the rest of the magazine, and they collected those. And it's because it took too long to look through 50 magazines to find all the best stuff. You could collect the best work that inspired you and drove you so that you didn't have to spend all that time surfing when you actually needed it. So does that make people more creative in their own work? Absolutely, I believe it does, because it did for me. Let me use a personal example to set the stage for this whole thing. One day, I had my first maternity shoot. I had never done this before. I had no knowledge going in, and I wasn't about to show up unprepared with a mental library that's on empty with no ideas, no idea how to shoot this thing, how to pose the model, or what angles or lighting to use. So I decided to start collecting images of maternity shoots that I loved, that inspired me, and that drove me on that day to create something really unique and creative. The goal wasn't to match one-to-one of what I researched to what I was doing on the day, but it created a guide so that when I got there, I had something to shoot towards, a type of lighting, a type of pose, some kind of setup to work with so that I was headed somewhere in the right direction. You know, Tony Robbins has a great saying that the road to somewhere leads to a town called nowhere. If you don't know where you're going, you're probably going to end up somewhere that you're not really happy with. You're not going to like your photography. And if you don't like your work right now, it's probably because you don't know where you're going. You haven't seen enough work and collected enough experience in your mental library that will give you those great shots when you need it. So if we check out my Pinterest account here, I have a group of work called Maternity Photography. And in here you can see some nice black and white shots of a model near a window with drapes, some great natural lighting. This is what inspired me. Here we have the model sitting. Now take a look at my work. I have the model sitting. I'm looking down on her. I have her by the window with the great natural light creating a silhouette. I didn't just come up with this stuff out of the blue. I was prepared. I filled my mental library up so that I was ready to go when I got there. The more ideas you have, the more creative you can be. And you'll eventually hit a tipping point where you have so much creativity that you're actually creating something unique. So how did I actually go from inspirational images to the actual creative shoot that I did? Well, I simply loaded the images up onto my phone. And I've had shoots where I literally just printed things out and I had little tear sheets of my own that were from the internet. The other added benefit of this is you can turn your phone around and turn your page around and show the model and show the team and explain to them what you're trying to achieve. And this has some great benefits. They know where to stand, how to pose. They understand the light and how to interact with it based off of what you're trying to achieve. It gets them inspired too. There's so many added benefits to bringing this to the set. So this is more of an enthusiast, junior beginner type of technique. I don't think pros are going out there showing up with their phones, okay, I should shoot it like this time. They've probably done that for years with their own work or the work off the internet, and they've built up this mental library that's so vast that they're literally just scanning the scene and they're picking up formulas and things that they've seen before, and it's just automatic for them. They can just call it up like this. Imagine every single day, 365 days out of the year, you did this kind of research and you started to collect it. And every day you would review it and browse it again. And do that for years. Do you think you'd be more creative? Absolutely. So the goal here is I'm encouraging you to build up your digital library. Use Pinterest if you want, but it's even easier than that. You could just pull stuff from Facebook, Instagram, any page on the internet, screenshot it, download it, and just start to put it in folders, somewhere where you can organize it and find it very easily. Let me show you quick what my Dropbox looks like. It looks like I started this in 2011. That's when I probably got that information. And I made a folder called Inspiration 2011. And as I did anything on the internet, on my phone, maybe I was listening to music or playing a game, or I saw an advertisement, I would just start to collect it. I didn't know what I was going to do with it yet. But as freelance jobs came up, suddenly I was in need of ideas. Where do I put text? What color should I use? What font goes well? And at first your library might be small, but over the years it'll grow. And you can see here I ended off in 2018. Either I took some kind of creative change, or perhaps my mental library was now full and I felt I didn't need to continue that process because I had so much to draw upon. It is good to know when to take a break from that practice so you don't get overwhelmed. Something really amazing happened throughout that process that I didn't expect to happen. The inspiration folder didn't just inspire my creativity, it actually drove me in a whole new direction that I didn't plan for. And I'll show you what I mean. After finding a certain type of creative work, I had a lot of examples of certain type. It drove me so far that I want to create a project for myself based around it. Take some of these workout shots and basketball shots that they made me want to go out and shoot a whole series. And I wanted to collect that series in a book. So I created this little book called Inspire. And I did this for about 4 or 5 years in a row, where I would take a theme that year that was really driving me and I would just shoot a whole bunch of stuff and retouch a bunch of stuff and collect it in a book. And you could see here where I drew the inspiration and where I ended up. So this process for me was extremely enjoyable, but there's a catch. And I think it's something that a lot of people, it's a trap that they fall into. Have you ever surfed Instagram and just started feeling depressed by all the incredible work out there? There's a reason that happens. It's because you're not doing anything with it. As soon as you start screenshotting it and collecting it in an area that is designed with a goal and a purpose to inspire you and drive you to a purpose, it takes on a different meaning. It no longer feels like weight piling on you, like you're not good enough and everybody's better than you. It's now lifting you up and bringing you somewhere else that you have never been. You have to understand that it's going to bring you better to a better place by letting it inspire you and drive your next shoots. So let it be the fuel and not what brings you down. I think there's a ton of truth to that statement, that nothing is truly original. It's all been done before. It's all rehashed and borrowed to some degree. So why not own that process and make it work for you? So give it a try. I believe it'll work for you. Good luck and have fun. If you enjoyed this and learned something, please hit like and subscribe. Visit demonenphotography.com or my Instagram for even more info. Bye for now.